good. It's there. Hello, everyone. Well, as you can see, my talk today is on Carl Gustav Jung, and it's 101, an introduction to Jungian psychology, also known as depth or analytical psychology, and the intersection of Buddhism and Eastern thought. I chose this subject because I am on the board of a nonprofit, the C.G. Jung Society of Atlanta, and we arrange speakers from all over the world to give lectures and workshops every month on Jungian psychology. Our community is made up of lay people like myself and healthcare professionals and students. And as a service to our community, we also offer education credits because mental health care workers need continued education credits in order to continue what they do every year. Let's see, our motto is seeking to live a more conscious life. The scope of this talk will be to introduce Carl Jung and his foundational hypotheses and contributions to psychology, his relationship with Buddhism and Eastern philosophy, and his relevance and significance today. Jung's ideas walk a line between science, myth, mysticism, psyche, and spirit. One of his most famous quotes, let's see if I can do this. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. He was not just a psychoanalyst, he was a cartographer of the soul. Carl Jung was born in Switzerland in 1875. He was the son of a Presbyterian minister who was losing his faith because of the scientific revolution. Jung's early exposure to religion and doubt shaped his interest in psychology. He was a physician first and was courageous to change gears and give up a sensible career and turn his attention and focus on psychology, which was marginalized, not well thought of, and held in contempt. Think of the word bedlam, which came from a hospital in London at that time that was known for inhumane treatment of mental patients and chaos. He did not work at Bedlam, but this was the state of psychology at the time. He became Sigmund Freud's protege and colleague around 1907. Freud was a father figure to him, and Freud saw him as his heir apparent to psychoanalysis. One night, Jung had a vivid dream. He was walking down a corridor when a stranger appeared, smiling, and handed him a little key. Jung woke with a quiet certainty that the dream mattered. Rather than dismiss the dream, Jung treated it like a messenger. In 1913, their relationship broke because Jung had the audacity to have different ideas that challenged Freud's. He disagreed. Freud believed that it was all about sexual drives and repression as the primary driver of human behavior and neurosis. Jung believed libido was a creative energy and life force, and emphasized the nature of the personal and collective unconscious. Jung asked the questions, what is meaning? Why do symbols, myth, and dreams appear across cultures? Again, this was a courageous thing to do, as his association with Freud had brought credibility, community, career advancement. He went from receiving honors doctorates from Harvard to being disenfranchised. He was ostracized by the psychoanalytic community, which had aligned itself with Freud. Freud actively discredited him. This rupture plunged Jung into isolation. He was shunned professionally and socially. It became an intense period of inner exploration. He went a little crazy. He feared he was losing his mind. His journey of going inward, what he called his confrontation with the unconscious, was documented in the Red Book. And this is Jung's personal record of visions and active imagination. It contained madness, psychosis, a psychotic break. His own life was a laboratory. Out of that inner struggle, Jung's own theories on psychology emerged. The key concepts, collective unconscious, archetype, shadow, the process of individuation, active imagination. Several techniques and tools he discovered to explore his psyche that were doorways to the depths of the unconscious was dream analysis, drawing mandalas, and active imagination. Active imagination is the technique he developed to bridge the conscious and the unconscious. It is a daydream, but it's an active, visionary, awake meditation where you concentrate on an image, symbol, from a dream, a memory, an emotion, until it starts talking to you, and you dialogue with it. The Red Book is filled with these characters that came out of these imaginations. Two figures that were prominent were Salome and Philemon. Philemon is the wise old man and is an archetype, and it became his mentor. He had many, many conversations in these active imaginations with Philemon. Jung also spontaneously began drawing a mandala every day without even knowing what a mandala was. The mandala is a Sanskrit word for circle. In Tibetan Buddhism, it symbolizes the oneness of the cosmos and is a meditation tool. In Jung's psychology, it is the image of the self. For Jung, the therapeutic use of art, drawing mandalas was a natural way for the mind to organize itself and was a means for healing. It integrated unconscious content into conscious. Jung's paintings and drawings are stunning. To draw images, his mandalas are beautifully illustrated in the Red Book. He advised his patients, He advised his patients, his analysans, to draw images in mandalas as beautifully as you can. Bind them in a precious book. You can go to the book and turn the pages, and for you, it will be your church, your cathedral, the silent places of your spirit where you will find renewal. In 2012, Oglethorpe University had an exhibition of mandalas from the patients of Carl Jung in collaboration with the Jung Institute and supported with lectures by the Atlanta Jung Society. Jung believes symbols, images, and dreams are the language of the unconscious, and that myths, religious images, art, and rituals reveal the unconscious. They are a window into the soul, and that after the basics of survival are met, food, shelter, and safety, that man needs meaning. When Jung died in 1961, he did not leave any instructions for the dispensation of the Red Book, so his family locked it in a vault for 50 years. Carl Jung was ahead of his time, and the world was not ready for the Red Book. In 2009, the UK scholar Sanyu Shamdasani transcribed, edited, and translated from German this intensely personal foundational work and made it accessible to the public. When the Red Book became available, a group of us at the Atlanta Jung Society studied it. It is dense, academic, and not for the faint of heart. In 3 years of study, we barely scratched the surface. But we had a really good time. We would read a fairy tale. One of the things we did to study it was to read fairy tales. And then in full costume, we would act out the fairy tales like a psychodrama and then discuss it in Jungian terms. It was one of the most enriching times of my life. Jung divided the psyche into 3: the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. Ego is the conscious self-awareness. Personal unconscious is repressed memories and experiences. Collective unconscious is humanity's shared universal patterns. They also include archetypes. Jung believed the conscious mind and the repressed unconscious should be integrated, so he coined the term individuation. Individuation is not individualism or ego. It is a process of becoming the person that you were meant to be. The central process of Jungian psychology is individuation. It is a lifelong process towards psychological wholeness. The Red Book became a symbol of Jung's individuation process. Symbolized in alchemy as the transmutation of gold, and in psychology, the transformation of the raw self into a unified self. The goal is to become one's own unique whole self by integrating conscious and unconscious, light and shadow. And there is gold in the shadow. The gold in the shadow is your repressed positive qualities, those you won't own. You may idolize someone or put them on a pedestal for just those qualities that you will not actually accept in yourself. Therapy was meant to help individuals discover the meaning of their lives and self-regulate, not fix their psyche to fit into the accepted social norms. For Jung, the psyche was not something to be fixed, but a mystery to be lived. It requires confronting the shadow, integrating the disparate parts of yourself. You may be familiar with the Myers-Briggs type indicator personality test. That's based on Jung's psychological typology. Jung proposed attitudes of introversion and extroversion and functions: thinking, feeling, sensation, intuition. Jung's types became the foundation for the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Some Jungian terminology. Individuation, archetype, personal unconscious, collective unconscious, the shadow, self, active imagination, synchronicity, anima, animus. Individuation, I've mentioned already, is a lifelong process towards psychological wholeness, integrating conscious and unconscious, the light and the shadow. Archetype are universal patterns or roles. A few examples: the mother archetype, the father archetype, the wise old man archetype, the prostitute archetype, which is often the shadow side behavior of selling one's integrity, values, or body. The orphan archetype wants to belong and connect, but feels estranged, even within their own family. The hero archetype aims to prove worth through courageous acts, but fears weakness. All of us have many archetypes in our psyche. The shadow. This is the repressed, rejected, disowned aspects of ourselves. They can be character traits that are not becoming. A shadow projection is where a person denies their own negative traits but accuses someone else of having just those same traits. Jung believed psychological health requires acknowledging and integrating the shadow, not repressing it. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The self is the central archetype in the totality of the psyche. Synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence. For example, thinking intensely of someone and they unexpectedly call. In regards to synchronicity, Jung proposed that psyche and matter are linked and connected at a deeper level, a bridge between inner and outer worlds. Jung's collaboration with the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Wolfgang Pauli bridged psychology and quantum physics. The commentaries on the I Ching convinced him that the universe is structured by meaningful patterns rather than causation alone. The I Ching's oracular method using chance to reveal patterns was for Jung a demonstration of synchronicity. The anima and animus. The anima is the inner feminine in men, and the animus, the inner masculine in women. These ideas made Jung not only a psychologist, but also a philosopher of the soul. He sought to understand humanity's symbolic and spiritual life. Jung's view on religion. Jung did not promote any particular religion. He viewed religions as symbolic systems. He saw religion as a psychological language for deep human truths. He argued that gods, myths, and rituals express archetypal realities within the collective unconscious. Jung's search for spiritual wholeness extended his thought to the philosophies of Asia, particularly Buddhism, Hinduism, and Taoism. He read widely in Eastern traditions, especially through translations of sacred texts like the Tao Te Ching, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and Hindu Upanishads. He was in contact with scholars who introduced him to Chinese philosophy, The Secret of the Golden Flower, which is an ancient Chinese Taoist text on meditation. The secret is the practice of turning the light around. Instead of focusing awareness on the outer world, channel energy inward to the center through meditation in order to achieve spiritual enlightenment. Eastern thought deeply influenced Jung, especially in his understanding of symbolism, mandalas, non-duality, alchemy, the I Ching. Points of convergence. Meditation and dream work both aim at wholeness or enlightenment. Transformation and individuation parallel the path to enlightenment. Shadow integration resonates with Buddhist recognition of the impermanence and the illusory self. Synchronicity and karma both suggest a universe connected by meaning rather than just causality. Active imagination, similar to Tibetan Buddhist visionary practices and Hindu tantric imaginal journeys. Jung was a thinker that bridged psychology, spirituality, and cross-cultural philosophy. He helped language and created vocabulary for understanding myth in modern life. For example, Star Wars has been analyzed through Jungian lens as a modern space-age myth. It illustrates how ancient themes of good versus evil, the father-son conflict, resonates because they are archetypal expressions of the psyche. By applying Jung's concepts, one can interpret one's own life as a mythic adventure. At 83, he told his personal myth in Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. In an age full of fragmentation and obsessed with data, his vision of the soul journeying toward wholeness resonates and is compelling. He showed that that personal problems often connect to larger patterns in culture. His psychology centers on the evolution of the psyche toward wholeness. His core concepts, personal and collective unconscious, archetypes, shadow, anima, animus, self, symbolism, synchronicity, types. Jung's life teaches us that when you treat inner images, dreams, symbols, myths, not to be ignored and dismissed, but as messengers to be listened to, you may find a key that opens a door to the story of your own becoming, to knowing yourself more fully. Between the poles of East and West, science and spirit, myth and mystery, Jung was a bridge builder to the depths of what it means to be human. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. And if you're interested in looking at any of his mandalas, there's the red book. And you're welcome to thumb through it. So thank you for listening. Thank you.
That's actually one of my favorite quotes, like, of all
Mhm.
time. Because
Awesome.
to me it's very powerful. It's almost like,
Mm-hmm.
it emphasizes and identifies to me in terms of how important meditation is to really the inside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's no wonder that, I mean, it is kind of a wonder that I didn't come to find the center sooner after being so involved in the Jung Society. I just didn't know y'all existed until, you know.
So do you see a big correlation then in terms of some of the ideas that you learned in Young and maybe even some of the things that you've learned here?
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you able to identify? I don't know, I'm asking you, is there some overlap, you would say?
There is overlap, but there's convergences and there's also divergences. So yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still learning what Buddhism is about myself. So I can't really answer that question very articulately.
We'll have a cartoon future.
Okay, yeah. John.
Did Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung ever fix their relationship? They got it?
No, no, it was a terrible, terrible thing, and that's what pushed him into such a challenging internal turmoil because they were so very, very close, and he was a father figure. So it's like losing your father. And on top of that, he lost his career. He was completely kicked out of his job, uh, every association he was in. He was completely disenfranchised. So he had to go within and gather himself again, and it took the Red Book, and it took him going crazy, basically, to come to terms with all that. But without that rupture, he would not have come to all of these philosophies. He would not have come up with all of this if he had not gone through all of that. So is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? Paul, did you? Oh, yes. He was going crazy. He thought he was going mad. And that's when he started having dialogues with his visions. And he had a very open mind. And I think he was also very close to the veil, because if this is a really good book to start with if you're interested in Jung, and it really talks about all the interesting things that he opened up his mind to explore. And he had to be very careful of his reputation, because if it got out all of the things that he really truly was studying, he would have, I mean, it wouldn't have been Freud that caused him to be shunned. It would have been all of his other studies too. And that's why the Red Book was put in a vault for 50 years, because the world just wasn't ready for his ideas. So, Paul, did you have a question?
Yeah, this topic obviously interests you a lot. How did you come to discover it?
to the Jung Society. A friend of mine introduced me to the Jung Society, and so I went there for a lecture before COVID, and for many, many years, the lectures and the workshops were in person. And then COVID, of course, changed the world. And is it good, is it bad? The one good thing that it did do was open up us to the world, because we started to Zoom and we were able to have lecturers from all over the world, like Geneva, Switzerland, and London, and all over. But just going to the Young Society and listening to lectures, I was surprised that every lecture, even though I didn't think that I was interested in the topic, held some jewel that just opened up my mind. So I kept going, and then I got involved. And I've been on the board for a long time. So,
Really quickly, I found it fascinating how he was talking about the dialogue with, I think, characters for his dream.
mhm.
I'm not sure, could you reiterate, I guess, what that process was, what kind of integrated into
Sure.
involve the characters, resolve any
Abs-
conflicts?
absolutely. That's one of the most important things in the Red Book, and about what his process is, and his technique. He came up with something called, what he called, active imagination. And so normally when a person daydreams, it's silent, and you might be thinking about daisies in a meadow. But what he did was, this was a daydream that is not passive but active, and that you start dialoguing with whatever symbol or whatever it is in your dream or imagination that just comes up, and you actually are awake and start dialoguing with it, and it actually starts dialoguing back with you. And for instance, the characters that appeared to him became active. I guess they were just like having a conversation with y'all. They started dialoguing with him, and he wrote extensively about these conversations in the Red Book. And so that opened up his inner, his unconscious. These were keys and windows to his unconscious, for him to understand what he was thinking, and led him to be able to teach other people to be able to do this technique of active imagination. And it was part of his therapy, what he used in therapy, in psychoanalysis. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Buddhism actually has 16 I think. You'd have to ask Anthony Nicholas, he'd be the expert on this, but it has 16 archetypes of a personality type.
Really?
And I'd be interested to see if you've learned about that, how you can map that to Jung's. The
Mm.
expert on it's Noki Nicholas. In fact, he used to use the Myers-Briggs survey to try to determine people's temperaments so that he can approach them with the best meditation style. Yeah. So he's got a PhD in psychology. I can probably find that for you somewhere.
I would love to be able to map
Maybe
that.
to connect you with him later.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you. Thank you, Nat. Mm-hmm. Natasha?
Is that a personal copy or belong to the group?
Oh, no. It's my copy, because we each got a copy so that we could study it, and then we would come together as a group every few weeks and study it. So yeah, it is very well worn. I mean, you can see it's not in good shape, because after 3 years of study, it's kind of worn. Oh wow. Oh wow. Excellent. Simon. Thank you. Well, you're right. The collective unconscious is cross-cultural. And that was one of the things that he was so adamant to bring out, that it wasn't just personal, it wasn't just individual, it was collective. These are patterns in across cultures that you will find that have nothing to do with, these cultures may not be touching each other at all, but you will find these patterns in all these different cultures, and that is what the collective unconscious is. It's like a mushroom. What do you call the mushroom underneath the ground that is the root that goes all over? There's a word for it. Yes, thank you. That's the collective unconscious. So yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say this is like synchronicity because a few moments ago I saw a diagram of how the archetype is like similar to OS and how each of us is like we have our own hardware, but we can upgrade this archetype. By doing that, we can kind of be able to do more. I actually diagram and draw all this shit out. So
Okay.
that's why this is synchronicity.
That is synchronicity.
Can I also give a shout out that that's the back of the book that I was talking about earlier? Human ageism. So yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you so much and appreciate it.